Oh, hi everyone, and welcome to the Scratticus Academy. We are back in Dunera, and I'm so happy about that. A few announcements before we jump into this. Please check out all the links coming up in chat now. That's where you can find the Discord, the merch, you name it, that's where you can find it. Also, a huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors in the form of Bird in the Storm and also Mage Campress. You can see all of their links there as well, so please go check them out. Another small announcement, V has had to leave Dunera due to work commitments, but we will have a new permanent cast member joining us in 2 weeks' time. So that's very exciting. I can't wait for you to meet them. Otherwise, today we have got the lovely Hans joining us, which I'm so excited about. But let's go around and let's say hi to everyone. We'll start with Jay. Jay, how's it going? Oh, hi. Welcome back.
Oh, hi. Yes, it's been a hot minute, and I am beyond excited to be back. And yeah, get back to the swing of things. I'll be playing Paula Packer, who is a dancer and a librarian, and she recently literally got swept off her feet in the arms of an angel, and flew off to who knows where. So super excited to see how that goes. And yeah, I hope you're all thriving.
Perfect, thank you. Then we're going to hop down and say hi to the lovely Tool School. Oh, hi.
Hello, I am so excited to be back in Dunera, like one of my favorite places and all of the places to be. And yeah, I've got my preemptive beer already open because I think we've got to find out what happened to Paula. There's intrigue and mischief and insanity that is happening all around Karnan. In the meanwhile, I am playing Tolan Folk, sort of an old curmudgeonly guy who has a lot of history with a lot of things, but a lot of that's not making sense right now. But hopefully we will start discovering more directions to go as we have a compass to now point the way. So I can't wait.
Awesome, thank you. And then I get to say it again this season. We're going to hop over to the very lovely Hans. Oh, hi, Hans.
Hi, I just come here to be called Lovely. That's pretty much why I show up on any show, just if Alice will do that for me. Yeah, so my Twitter handle is above my head. If you want to follow me, you could do that. Otherwise, I will be here today playing Kamaka, who I will say nothing about.
Awesome, thank you. And then last but certainly not least, let's say hi to Julie. Oh, hi.
Hello, I'm Julie. I go by Degree of Art pretty much everywhere. Here I play Charlie, who had an exciting last session running, escaping from the church, who have guns. I'm afraid, but I have my tuba back, and we are going to go disappear, probably, maybe,
hopefully, right? I don't know, you're very extreme. You either do nat 20s or GM intrusions.
That's how the scene is going. it's one or the other, and so we'll see where that gets me today.
Awesome, thank you. And we are actually going to start with our newest member joining this group today. And it is sort of late evening, well, sort of mid-evening turning into late. And we are down by the docks in Karnan, near the Goldcrest coast. And there is a ship coming in. These huge sails that you can see are powered not only by the wind, but they've got something attached to either end of the mast and sort of lining the sails, almost like this honeycomb feature, where magic runs through them, generating almost like a false wind to guide it slowly into shore. And there's quite a few people on this boat as it pulls up and docks, and the gangplank is thrown down. Hans, would you like to describe what your character looks like and who's with them?
Okay, Kamaka is dressed to visit his family, so he's dressed very well. He's wearing a shirt that has a floral pattern and a collar, kind of like what I'm wearing right now. He's wearing a pair of shorts. I don't know what the Karnan season is like. Is it warm or cold right now?
It's getting cooler, but it's not quite autumn yet, so it is getting cooler. But
Does getting cooler mean like London cool?
London cool.
Right. So he is very, very cold. He's wearing shorts. When he left the Isles, it was warm, and it is now not. He also does not have proper shoes. He's wearing sandals. So with all of that going on and being very cold, he's just putting on a very brave face as he stands out here on this boat, waiting for everyone to come in. He's got a very deep tan and brown eyes, dark bushy black hair that's cut kind of short.
Awesome. Thank you. And as you can walk down the gangplank onto the deck, you do have a creature with you. Would you like to describe the creature, or shall I?
You can feel free to describe it if you'd like to.
So, following Kamaka down this gangplank is a set of hooves as they sort of clop down. And this is a very large, I guess you could associate it most closely with a deer, but it's huge. And it doesn't have antlers. Instead, it has very, very large, upright, very wide ears. And this is a native creature to the Summer Isles. And they sort of have a slightly longer neck, very sort of fluffy down sort of like where the chest is, and a very elegant looking creature. And this creature sort of, I don't know, has it got a harness on it, Hans, or is it just following you?
It's very well behaved. It doesn't need that.
Yeah. And it sort of moves to the side of you, and this is a Silvus, native creature to the Summer Isles. And Kamaka, you sort of approach this dock, and there's some people getting off the boat, very much like you, traveling into Kanan, some for trade, some probably like you, visiting family. There's that little bit of chill in the air, and you can hear the crickets and late night travelers that are arriving, and you see some people being greeted. You are not greeted at the dock, maybe because you haven't given a specific time frame as to when you are going to arrive, but you can walk off the dock past these people through into the city of Kanan as it gets denser and denser, with these tall buildings sort of starting to almost like grow up as you get further and deeper into the city, with all of these vines and these flowers sort of lighting the way, especially at the beginning. A few fireflies dot around the space, but do you know what way you're going, or are you winging it?
That's a good question. Kamaka is very intuitive, and I think he's going to figure these things out quickly, but he's also not afraid to ask directions. So he's got his like sailor's duffel bag strapped sideways across his body. He's holding a piece of sugarcane in one hand, which he's coaxing this little Silvus along with, And then as he's doing this, he'll just stop people, and someone who looks promising, he'll just say, "Excuse me, do you know the way to find Jin's noodles?"
And you just see this man who is also, it's like, "Oh, the really good noodle place down the way. Yeah, I mean, I can tell you directions. I'm actually headed in that direction if you want me to go too. It's up to you."
I would love that. That would be spectacular.
"Oh, great. Daniel." And he sort of holds out his hand and shakes it quite firmly.
And Kamaka's not very tall, but he's wide. He's like as tall as he is wide. So that's just his shape.
And he sort of looks you up and down, noticing the sandals, the shorts, and the shirt. And you can look at Daniel up and down, and you see he's got like a jumper on, trousers and boots. He's like, "You not from round here, are you?"
You know how they say off the boat? I am just off the boat.
Literally.
That boat.
And he sort of almost, as if he's trying to not look at the Silvus, he's like, "What is that?"
That? We call it a Kia. You call it a Silvus?
"Yeah, I guess."
Hmm.
Right? And he's winging it. He doesn't know anything you're talking about. But this creature stands taller than you. And he sort of twitches its ears, almost flicking just some of the fireflies to the side. He's like, you know, I don't know if you're going to be able to take that into Jin's. She's a bit, you know, strict with some stuff.
I am going to explain it to her when I get there.
You're going to explain it to her?
Yes, definitely.
All right. And he just sort of starts to lead you through these streets, and you can see the season trees sort of glowing overhead, that very warm, almost golden glow now. And it's not busy out, but there's a few people out sitting at restaurants and bars or just walking the street. You can see the waterways glowing up with some of the sort of the gondola-like ships just sort of drifting past, dropping people off on their way. You can see over in the far, sort of bit more in the distance, over to the right of the city, what you can assume is like the church, this huge cathedral-like structure with the windows lit up, and a bit more of a different structure, but absolutely as big as this academy, with the bridges, with the lanterns that guide the way. You can see some of the lanterns are actually hovering in place. And Daniel leads you through, and he's like, so what brings you to Carnan?
Oh, I'm visiting my family.
Oh, right. Okay, nice. Do you visit often? I'm guessing it's your first time here. Yeah.
I've never been to Carnan before.
Okay, right. Yeah, I thought so. And he gives you a quick look up and down at the shorts and the shirt again. Takes a step away from this huge creature, just like make sure he walks the other side of you. And this creature just follows very steadily, very calmly, as he starts to guide you down one of these alleyways. A bit of a smaller alleyway, and you can see the restaurants and the bars and the things sort of built out into this alleyway, into the street. It's buzzing. You can hear music, you can hear a lot of sort of chatter, you can smell the food, and you can also absolutely, undeniably smell those noodles. And quite a few people sort of move out of your way as you stroll through, more because of this deer-like creature that is just following you, not paying any attention to anyone else around you. Daniel stops outside Jin's Oodles, this sort of awning protruding out, the lights and the warm orange glow from the inside. The bar is packed, and you can see steam erupting off behind this bar. And that stalk in Archway that you know is sort of working its way around some of the steps, around some of the chairs, around the bar.
That's an important feature I forgot to mention, which was the Inanakwa that's riding with Kamaka. So sorry about that. So he has a about yay high sulfur crested cockatoo, which is where it's got the nice white body and the black beak and the yellow like a floof. So I forgot about that part. That's my fault.
That's good. And Daniel's like, here we are. Best noodles you'll ever have. Don't annoy her.
Pretty good noodles. Best noodles you'll have in Carnan for certain. I would have known it was here when we got within about a block. Oh, I can smell it from here.
No. Best noodles in Carnan. Just stop there. Yeah. I'm gonna go. And he just sort of like looks awkwardly at this creature that sort of almost gives him a bow as goes to leave. And you can see through the steam on the other side of the bar, you can hear that sizzle and that crackle of all of these woks and these pans and these big pots sort of stewing something that smells amazing. Far at the back, you can see Jin stirring this huge pot, tasting things here and there. You see her moving, constantly moving, chopping up vegetables, throwing things in the pot, but you can see her.
Daniel, you said it was Daniel, yes?
Yeah.
Are you hungry? Do you want to stay and have noodles?
What, you want to eat noodles with me?
I would at least buy you noodles. This is the least I could do.
I mean, I won't say no to Jin's noodles, I'm not going to lie, but...
Find a seat,
sure.
find a table. I will make sure. I tell her.
Right, thanks. Okay, I'll be over there. Good luck with the sort of gestures to the silver. Okay.
She will understand.
Okay.
Hmm.
And are you just taking the silver in there with you?
Yeah. I mean, at least head first. If not at least to the head of the Silvas, that's like the minimum amount.
Yeah, you can. It sort of ducks down if you walk in. It sort of follows you. Like you can see its ears brush the top of this awning. That's low.
Okay. And then Kamaka's going to turn around and point the sugarcane at it and do like a stop, like right at its nose. Wait here.
It does a low bow and straightens up again and sort of just stops. It doesn't move out of anyone's way. It just stops.
Perfect. So he turns to look at Jin.
She doesn't notice you at first. It's only when she turns around and says, right, what can I get you? What are you doing here? You said...
I told you
What?
I said I would show up.
That was 5 months ago. That was 5 months ago. You sent a letter saying you'd be here soon. Please get a phone for the... Oh my gosh, why does no one carry phones?
It's a very long boat trip.
Yes. What, did you get on there as soon as you wrote the letter? And it takes a week and a half.
I had things. I was doing business. I was working.
Oh gosh, okay. Give me a second. And she sort of, you see her sliding a couple of bowls of noodles off to the side. She's like, I'll come around the side. And she starts walking.
Jin, can we feed my friend Daniel as well?
Who's Daniel?
This man over here. He showed me where you were.
There's this awkward like raise of a hand from the other side of the bar, and he's like, yeah, I'll feed Daniel. And sort of, you can see someone, a much younger person working behind the bar, who she almost throws some orders at quickly and gestures over to Daniel. And he's like, it's so good to see you. Like, and she holds her arms out and comes up to you and gives you a hug. And she's like, it's been ages. You never. Why are you in Karnan? You hate cities.
I hate cities, but I love you. I love Tuva. I haven't seen her since she was small.
Yeah, but like, she's gonna be so excited to see you when she finally turns up wherever she is. But,
she's an adventurer. I brought her a present.
And she sort of looks over there. She's like, please tell me that's not the present. That thing with the ears. You didn't bring a silver all the way on a boat, did you?
I clearly did.
Yeah, but... Kamaka, where am I going to put that? Like, and she sort of gestures to this huge silver who is currently sort of leaning over someone who is trying to move their noodles away from it at the table.
I thought you would do what people usually do and keep it in your house.
This is my house. I've got to get it up those stairs. And she sort of points to this skinny staircase. She's like,
I can do that. Come here.
Okay. It's bigger than two. It's bigger than me. How is Tuva going to get on that? You know that's not
very well. What?
You know they get bigger than that, right?
When I was a child, we had one.
There was a lot of space when we were kids.
This is much smaller than our house.
Oh my gosh, you sound just like Mum. Oh my gosh. And she starts like maneuvering out the way. Yeah, hi, I need to, again, like, I need more calls than just these letters. Use the neighbor's phone once in a while. You know, she doesn't mind.
That's a good idea.
Yes. like, and she looks visibly like stressed.
So I have this Sylvis about one body's length in the building now.
She's like, okay, I'm sorry. Like, and can you roll me a might check, please, purely to see if it knocks anything over?
Yes, I am going to spend nothing on this.
Okay, actually, you managed to guide it quite well. You
Imagine this is what most of the sea journey has been like, is guiding this Sylvis around.
Yeah, you sort of been guiding it around. You can see it's still swaying slightly, where it's almost like it's been used to standing on a boat. And the only thing it knocks is you see the low-lying lamps that are hovering as the ears sort of scrape underneath it and just knock these lamps as it starts to go. And you can see your sister trying to panic, sort of hope they don't fall.
Jin, I don't know that this is going to fit inside of your house.
And she like just puts her head in her hand. She's like, this is why I didn't bring one with me, Kamaka.
Do you have some other place that you could live?
Let's try the back door. And she starts like back it up. Like, and she starts to move back towards the outside again, like, sorry, I will, you can have an extra, it's fine, like, as he sort of moves out the back.
Jen, I'm sorry if this is awkward. You know, I haven't seen Tuva since she was smaller than bread, and it's a beautiful, majestic animal from her homeland, and we always grew up with a Sylvis, a Kia.
No, it's lovely. It really is. I'm worried I don't know where she is right now, and now there's a giant Sylvis in my house that I need to find where. I live in an apartment.
Maybe I should just keep it with me for now.
No, we can find room. Look. She was like, I miss having one. And I have never seen one in Carnum before, because they don't normally get put on boats.
It was not hard at all.
No?
The sailors were very accommodating.
Now, do you think they were accommodating? Or, do you know what? It doesn't matter. Let's just go around the back. And she starts leading you around the back.
I may have purchased a spot on the ship for the Sylvis. By the way, we should probably stop calling her it. She is a she.
She is very nice, and sort of reaches up and gives it like a little scratch behind the jaw. And let's go around. It really is good to see you. It's been what, 6 years?
How old is Tuva now? 6? Oh,
6. Well, 7 years, something like that. I don't know. It's been a long time, and she walks you around the back of this house, and there's this, you can't really call it a garden. There is a fence, which is very limiting, and there's almost like a iron fire escape leading upwards to the apartment. I guess we could put her in here for now. I mean, I'm not getting her up the fire escape. Well, no, I'm not even going to try that right now. Tuva might, but I'll let Tuva deal with that.
Where do the Karnans keep their horses?
It's not really a thing here. I know it is where we are, but I mean there can be some bits further out of the city. I can make space. We've got a great little outhouse where I keep storage stuff, and I can just get rid of it. Like, get rid of stuff. Tuva should have one, you're right. It's family tradition. How is Mum?
Fine. Energetic.
Of course she is. Right. Okay, well, bring her in here. And this sort of starts to lead her into this sort of gated off, fenced off area. She can stay here, and I know Tuva is going to be so overjoyed because of this.
So where is Tuva exactly?
I don't know. She's very good at running, climbing, escaping, opening locked doors and locked windows. She's very good at that. Always gets her homework handed in on time though, so I can't, I don't want to pressure her too much. But I think yeah. I'm sorry she's not here to greet you. I won't lie, I'm getting a little bit nervous. I don't know where she is, and she's normally at least back or pretending to be asleep by now.
Do you want me to go find her?
Well, she has seen photos of you and things like that. Yeah, she can't have gone far, right? She's only 8.
I think when you were 8, I don't know what sort of mischief you got into, but by the time I was 8, I probably had explored half the island.
We don't talk about what I did. I got in so much trouble with Mum, and we just don't. We said we wouldn't talk about it. Anyway, if you could go and have a look for her, that would be great. Like, I just need to keep the shop running. And do you want your usual when you get back?
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, I've been like perfecting Mum's recipe. Don't tell her that, but it's pretty damn good.
It smells good. It smells very good. Now, I have one more question. Where do I get the pants like the Carnanmen wear?
And she looked at her, oh my gosh, yes, come with me. I think I've got something. Lost and found, but you're going to have something. And she drags you back into the shop and up the stairs. Up into this small apartment with 2 rooms, a fairly big open sort of kitchen living room area, and she goes through this wardrobe, and she grabs a pair of trousers and just throws them in your direction, and you not recognize her, but you can guess these would probably belonged to her no longer here husband.
What's the fit like?
It's not small, but it's pretty slim. Like, but they're very comfy, bendy trousers. Bendy trousers, that's not what I meant. Like loose trousers. Like they're not like thick jeans or anything like that. They seem pretty loose. I mean, it doesn't go with the shirt, but
that's never stopped me before.
No, it has not.
Well, I'll find Jin. I'll bring her home. We will have noodles. She can meet the Kia. It will be great.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Okay. The restaurant. Yes, I need to get back down to the restaurant. And as she sort of scrabbles around and pulls out these keys with too many like key rings on and shoves them into your hand. She's like, key to the back door if you need it. Tuva's broken loads of times, so you probably won't, but just in case you come back without her. I need to run. And then she sort of gives you another really quick, tight hug again. She's like, honestly, it's so good to see you.
It's good to be here.
Don't do anything. Never mind. This is fine. And she starts walking back down the stairs, and you hear her starting to mutter something about the silver, more sort of like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with it? But I've forgotten what they eat. And it's all that sort of discussion as it goes down the stairs. What would you like to do?
Kamak is going to take to the streets to find Tuva.
Okay. You step out into the streets, and it is that cool evening. There's less of a breeze now that you have a pair of trousers on.
That's right.
And you step out into the night.
Okay.
And
he's reaching up and scritching his cockatoo kaimi on top of its head, and he says, we have to find Tuva. It should be very simple. We just have to look in the city.
And it makes this sort of like squawk noise, almost in like recognition. But it does.
Well, to be fair, this is what Kamaka does, is he walks around and finds things. So this is exactly what he's built to do. So it's perfect.
Exactly.
So he'll just start walking down the street, and he'll stop at an intersection and look for somebody who looks like they know what they're doing and ask them if they've seen Tuva. And then he'll walk in a different direction, do the same thing, and start walking around until he's good and lost.
Okay. You start wandering these streets. It is much cooler out. You can see a couple of people that seem to be in these brown sort of suit-like uniforms. You can hear people calling them watchers every now and then. You see other people out on the street, and some sort of don't know who you're talking about, but they sort of point you in a direction anyway. And then you sort of... Can you roll an intellect check for me, please?
Sure. Is this related to being perceptive at all?
It is.
That happens to be one of my skills, so I will use that. And, this is the kind of thing I would spend effort on, so I'm going to spend a level effort there. And have some barking, so pardon me.
Okay, so as you're sort of walking around, your two things you notice. You feel your feet touch something, sort of knock something on the floor, and you look down and see this small sort of silver trinket. It looks to be a bird or some sort of kestrel on the end, and it's sort of fizzling out this strange green color, but it looks like it's darling. And you do see, about as you're sort of picking it up and having a look, your eyes catch down the other end of the way these people in these brown suits, these brown uniforms, about 7 or 8 of them running in one direction.
Okay, lots of dogs. So obviously, being part of Tua's family, he is imagining that if there is something that is causing people to run, that they're probably running towards her. So he's going to go that way.
Okay, and you can start following them. We are now going to hop over to Charlie. And Charlie, you have just sort of burst out of this cave, this passageway down by the docks, and you can feel your heart racing. I'd say this was a fast run, and you have Tuva sort of passed out, still sort of over your shoulder. You've still got Brenna in this cage looking very out of it, again not moving, but you can see almost like sleeping. Could you roll me an intellect check, please? Okay, it's happening again. You step out onto this where the dock was, and you can see there's more crates here than there were before you left, and there's a lot more sacks piled up. You can see it looks like maybe a few more boats have come in before now, and as you sort of step out of this wall, you can see that watcher back up the other end. And you hear lots of footsteps running in your direction, but you see nothing.
Okay, well, my plan is to make a break for the tangle and get good and lost in the old streets.
Okay. Can you roll me a speed check, please, as you run? Woo! Yeah, extreme. Every single time. Every single damn time, Julia. What is this? You sprint, and you know the route to the tangle from here. Tuva's weighing you down a tiny bit, but not enough to really make any impact. And you can hear those footsteps more and more coming after you and running. And up ahead, you see the way into the tangle. In front of it stand 2 watchers. You see each has a gun on their hip, and they actually seem to be waiting for something.
How big is the entrance? per se, or is it more just like a narrowing of kind of tunnels? Or
It's kind of like, there's a tunnel behind it and there's illusion in front of it showing it as a brick wall, and that you'd have to step round to the side to almost go behind the illusion to disappear.
Okay. Is there a way to use my far step to kind of like bounce off of the walls in a way that like I know where the opening is, and if I can just kind of like go make it through them?
You would have to roll a speed check on top just to get through.
Okay.
If you want to roll a speed check for me.
Okay. I went to roll with advantage.
Okay.
So it's just the speed check, or also for the first step?
No, don't worry. We'll just say
Okay.
the last step. That's fine.
Okay, okay. Then with advantage. Not works. And about the same. So
well, describe it for me. Describe how you're doing this as you do it.
I think they haven't quite seen me yet. I'm keeping to kind of a side of the wall that's very shadowed, which isn't hard down here, being that it's evening and it's just kind of like I know where the shadows are and where different lights catch. At kind of the last moment, rather than like go past them or anything like that, with a like running start, I just want to go like barreling through them, but it's kind of aided along by that same staticky trail that I leave behind whenever I do the far step. And the intention anyway is to get through them and kind of just zigzag very quickly.
You do this, however, on the way through, you manage to clip one of them. It's almost like they don't see you, but you catch them on the way through.
I'm holding many things.
Exactly. You clip them. You're wider than you thought you would be once you carry these things. And immediately they turn and they pull these weapons out and point them in your direction. They haven't necessarily seen you, but they're pointing in your direction. Now you can see ahead of you this tunnel. Again, there's lots of you can see lots of crates and stuff sort of huddled around. You can see further down, there's lots of little shops starting to appear, these underground sort of curiosity shops and things like that. You can see those. If you make a speed check, see if you want to dive into one of them, we can do that. Or do you have another?
Sure, I'd go for cover, seeing them pull this out.
Okay.
Save an advantage for now because I did get past them at least. Oh.
This is so you, Julie.
Look, I made a character that I was like, give
on
it
brand. It totally tracks on brand.
I'm worried. I'm anxious. I'm tired. I just ran like 4 miles.
You do dive into this. Well, you do dive into this store, and you hear the bell sort of like ting as it opens, and you have entered this small, very almost gloomy, dark store. There are shelves and shelves piled all the way up, all different shapes, all different sizes, some protruding more than others. You can see all these strange trinkets sort of dotted around the place. Nothing looks particularly organized. You see sets of scales, you see clocks, you see strange glass sort of spheres and different shaped objects with things in them In some of them, you can see there's something alive in some of them. In others, you can see lines up of crystals with all these different colors, sort of giving this shop this dull glow. You see a whole wall of shelves of all of these different books. Most of them look incredibly tatty and look like haven't been touched in years. You can see different, what look to be like instruments made out of bone as you dive into the shop. And it's a very much a cluttered area, but you can dive behind something with Tuva and you crouch down. And as you do, everything falls silent for about 5 or 10 minutes, and you just hear your own heartbeat drumming in your chest.
I'm just holding Tuva really close to me and
you can like
heaving out breaths, but trying to keep quiet in that like wheezing kind of way.
You hear that ding of the bell again as someone walks in the shop and closes the door behind them. Then it opens again and you hear more footsteps file in. And it stops. And you hear a voice that you recognize. And you can sort of peer between the gaps in some of the shelves and see the Watcher's uniform. Now this is strange because they shouldn't know where the tangle is. And you see a pair of very shiny boots open the door and step in and walk over the floorboards that creak into the store. And you hear Christopher's voice. Where is she? And you can hear a sort of like a tinkle of glass or something like that. You can imagine he's probably picking things up, moving them around. It's like she disappeared, passed without a trace. Huh. And you can see his footsteps continue to walk over these floorboards. You notice none of the other Watchers move. They're almost stood to attention. And can you make an intellect check for me, please? Okay. You sort of, you can peer through. Like you're looking between all these bottles, these weird trinkets, these strange bits of like, almost like driftwood that have been carved into little sort of figurines. And you see him picking up these different trinkets and looking at them. And as you do, you see his hands are glowing with magic. But there is no Inarque anywhere near him. And he picks them up, puts them down. A lot of energy in one person. Runs very fast. So much power in one little person. It's like I can, what is it? It's like I can taste it. And he starts to sniff the air. And he sort of moves along the shelves and sniffs. And you can see this sort of almost turned up nose, very sort of what might be seen as in like endearing. But with this, it feels like you're almost being stalked by an animal, by a bloodhound. And he moves through all these trinkets. He walks straight past you almost. Huh. I understand the name Ghost now. Makes a lot of sense. I mean, she's lucky, really. And he sort of very abruptly turns on his heels to look at the other watchers, almost in one fluid movement. You see the soles of his shoes, almost like a dance move, sort of slide to one side. Very lucky, really. I mean, what if my sister was here? Then we'd have some real problems. And you can hear sort of a low chuckle sort of erupt, sort of in the base of his chest. It's not really a real laugh. And he puts his hands behind his back and continues to walk around the shop. Would you like to do anything whilst this is happening?
What I'd like to do is very, very subtly send out little like roots almost of magic in many different directions, and kind of starting at different points, so that it doesn't necessarily all start from me at once. And so it kind of like seeps through around like corners and along shelves and things. And what I want is to try and make it seem as though I am either moving or that there is some other magical presence moving away and like towards kind of the entrance.
Okay. Can you roll an intellect check for me? This will work. I just need to know on what level.
Yeah.
Okay. My gosh, every damn time. And as you do, you see him turn up his nose and start to sniff the air again. And again, and it twitches. And you see him stop and address the other watchers. Go there, there, and there. And he starts pointing out directions. And you hear that bell on that door open as these watchers do exactly as he says, and they start to run out of the shop. And you hear that last watcher leave as he closes the door. And then his voice rings through again. Now that's very clever. But it doesn't work on my kind of power. You're in here, aren't you? I knew you were in here, even with all your, and you see him sort of move his fingers, interference. Why it took us so long to find you. I didn't think by kidnapping an annoying little child would draw you out. I would have done it much sooner. And he pauses, and you hear a creak as he pulls a chair out from behind the counter and puts his feet up on the desk.
Does it seem like this shop is occupied, like someone actually uses it, or does it feel abandoned?
It doesn't feel abandoned. This definitely feels occupied. You can probably guess it was either forgotten to be locked up, or the person is out the back, probably doing something. You know that all of these things have their own separate tunnels and store places. Because most people want a quick escape if they ever get discovered. And you hear him start to whistle. It really is lucky that it was me. You were very clever back in the church. Very interesting. I wouldn't have done anything bad. To the girl, I mean.
So he's sitting.
He's sat down, he's leant back in a really sort of creaky wooden chair and put his feet up on the counter. He sent out all the other watchers.
Okay. Looking around, do I have a read on any other way out?
You can see a back door for sure. It looks to be a storage room, but again, from you being in the tangle, you can guess there's going to be another way out from the storage room, probably just another door out due to disgruntlements that happen in most places in the tangle. So you can probably guess that you're going to get there, but you will need to make a run for it. You know that to get there, you're going to have to stand up and make a dash for the door. The one thing I will say is that you can see him sniffing the air the entire time when he's not whistling. And could you make an intellect check for me, please? My God. You sort of get that moment where you can look between the door and you can look at his like setup where he is. And as you're peering through these almost like these beakers, these sort of all these weird sort of bits of shell and rock and stuff like that that's all laid out, you see his feet sort of almost like twitching along with the music he's whistling. And he stops. He takes his feet off the desk and he leans down and makes full eye contact with you. Hello, Charlie.
Can I reach through this, like, space and just punch him in the face?
Roll for me.
And as I make,
please.
well, yeah, as I make contact, can I also try to erase memories?
Yes, you can.
Okay. So, first off, I might check. See how this goes. Okay. 4. And then, let me see. I literally just like punch at a point that's just like right between his eyebrows. And I need to make an intellect roll. That. Do I have anything else to spend?
You have 1
auto success.
May I?
Of course. Well, are you using that on the might, or are you using that?
No, on the erase memories.
Okay. As you throw the punch,
I don't have to touch him, but it just I want to punch him.
He catches it. But you see his eyes almost glaze over for a moment, and you feel that grip loosen, and he sort of sits back and slumps against the sort of like the counter of the desk, almost falling over completely. And it's like he's blinking over and over, like he's lost vision briefly. And you could see him starting to look around the shop and question where he is, because this only lasts it only erases like the last 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's up to the last 5 minutes, but it's like as my fist, I guess, hit his palm, that same like purpley blue almost like circuitry just like ran up his arm and like across his face. And I'm gonna take his moment of kind of
days.
yeah, of that, and try and go to the back door.
Yeah, you can get up and you can get to that back door.
My kids and my panda and
and you can run to the back door. It does seem to be locked, but it looks not to be like, if with a good kick, you would be able to bust the hinges if you roll a might check.
Oh, it's locked from the outside? Okay. Might check. Go. No.
You start kicking at this door, like your boot just keeps hitting it, and you can see it gradually sort of shaking, but you can hear him starting to stand up, mainly because you hear him try and stagger, and you hear glass slide across the desk as he sort of falls and pushes it off and smashes on the floor.
I want to send, like, as I hear this, I want to send a, like, I guess technically it would be an onslaught, but not at him. I want it to go past him and through the door, mimicking that static trail.
Okay.
Of the movement. Cat! No. Just to, like, as either a distraction or kind of mimic, like.
Yeah, we'll say what you can do is you can send almost like a wave through the shop, and it starts knocking these shelves down, sort of crashing into each other. If you want.
Damage time.
And there's some things that smash, other stuff just tumbles to the floor, because a lot of this seems to be rock and stone and bone, and there's a lot of stuff sort of tumbling to the floor. And he doesn't see it coming, and he sort of staggers back again as it falls onto him. It doesn't crush him or anything, because it's the desk sort of thing is halfway in the way, and he's sort of beneath it. But you can see as you push it back, this static energy sort of flows all through all of it. And you see the watchers coming back, trying to get in the door, which is now jammed, but they can see their superior, and you have just attacked him, is how they've seen it.
Fortunately, I don't still look like me. I'm gonna try and resume kicking this door.
Okay. Can you roll another might check for me, please?
Okay. It was going so well.
That adrenaline, you kick that door down, you see the lock almost burst off of its hinges, and you can see this tunnel. You know that these two tunnels go two different ways. There is one way out of the tangle, and there is one way further in to the tangle.
I want to go well, now I don't feel safe here, so I'm going to actually leave.
Okay. You can do that. You've blocked them all in, and you can tear back out the tunnel to one of the smaller routes and head back out. We are going to hop over to Paula. And Paula, where we last left you, right, as we left you, you were on the edge of a roof. And one of the last things that you remember is this chase. These shadow creatures crawling up the sides of the walls, along the roof itself, and standing on an edge with the breeze sort of running through you, and you could hear Matthias's footsteps tearing along these tiles as he crashed into you, sending you both off the side of the roof. And You feel your stomach drop as this happens. There is this wave of almost like hot air, and the ground itself comes rushing up, and it comes rushing up fast. And you almost you see it all barely in like a split second, and it's rushing up closer and closer as you can feel him almost maneuver himself around, grab onto your arms, and sort of one round your back, and you're about inches from this cobblestone path as you feel the falling stop. And there's a moment where you feel that just energy of something, this wind being pushed off of the ground, as these wings, these huge blue fiery wings that explode out of his back, cause you to pull up effectively for about 3 or 4 meters. You stay that low to the ground, and you start sort of skimming along this pathway through these alleyways that you were chased. You can see these shadow creatures piling up and falling off of the roofs as they try and reach for you, as he pulls up and up. And your hair whips around your face. You can feel it almost like at the speed you're going. And he weaves in and out of these alleyways, avoiding every creature. You saw that brief glow of where your pendant was and fell, moving too fast to grab it in time. But soon you can see this wall rushing up towards you, and he uses his feet to kick off one of the walls to send you up higher. And you break out into the night sky. And the only light is from the moon right now, which is casting this very dull shadow over these creatures as they start to almost disappear back into the alleyways. And it's got very, very cloudy as it's all crept in, and you can see the academy window, this stained glass ahead of you. And Matthias seems to be heading straight towards that, and he is going at speed. Is there anything you would like to do?
Matthias, we have to get back on the ground.
He doesn't seem to hear you at all. In fact, can you make an intellect check for me, please?
Is this like a perception thing or
Perception.
okay?
Okay.
Oof.
You don't see this coming because as you look up at him, trying to just make some form of contact, his eyes are blazing this blue. You can't see any irises or any pupils anymore. It is literally all that was in here. And you are hurtling. And at the last minute, you look up and you are faced with this stained glass window as you crash straight through it. In this flurry of like flames and fire, they sort of seem to wrap around you both at the last minute. And you enter straight into the library. And from that top level, the top levels of the library where all the bookshelves are, those balconies where that comfy chair is, you can see Matthias lose control. And as soon as you reach that balcony, you see him drop you into a safe spot before rolling and crashing and taking out this comfy chair. He's taking out the tables. He's taking everything out on the way. And there is flame sort of almost lining all along these wooden panels of this library balcony as he lays there in a heap at the end, and the wings slowly start to fizzle out.
Where did Paula land in relation to this?
He dropped you sort of at the beginning of the balcony itself. So you landed fairly well, pretty rough, but you didn't hit anything. You sort of find yourself slouched up against one of the bookcases. You probably hit your head, and you feel like you're probably going to be very bruised from this. There is colored glass all over you. It hasn't cut you or anything, but it has littered the floor. And with the moon, coming through, you can see all the colors sort of reflecting onto the ceiling of this academy library. You seem okay. And Matthias has almost come to like a skidding halt at the end as he's crashed into some of the metal, the ornate metal balcony bars along, and there's a trail of blue fire which is slowly calming down.
Matthias, and Paula will slump over and try to get closer to Matthias to see how he is.
Yeah, you can easily get yourself closer. He's sort of like, you can see he's awake. It's like he has got his hands on the ground, and you can see cuts where he's gone straight through this glass window. You can see probably where that has sheltered you from getting the glass. They're more like lots of small cuts. Nothing looks too deep, but he looks a mess. You can actually see for a moment where his hair glows blue rather than the brown before dying back down, and his eyes are slowly coming back to normal as he is holding out his hands, looking at some of the blood. It's not gushing or anything. It's literally these bruises and cuts as he looks down and holds his head. He's like, oh no, oh God. And he sort of puts his head down on the floor, just on the floor. And sort of you see his hand reach out and pat the floor near where you've walked over, and he's like, you're all good, right?
Yes, I'm good. I kneel down next to Matthias and take his cut up hands in mine and hold them. And are you sure you're okay, Matthias?
And you just hear a mild groan. He's like, it's really hot in here. And you can see that where his jumper was, and shows there's these two huge burn marks where the wings came out, and they've now subsided. And it's more that you can just see the back of this knit jumper is smoking.
Oh boy. We should take this off. And I try to help him. Not like that, guys. No, I swear.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
You know, like, we don't want it to catch fire, okay? Like,
you can pull this jumper off, and he sort of readjusts himself, and he's like, what's just happened?
I don't know. I honestly could not tell you, Matthias. That was so wild.
That green thing, that birds. I heard the bird. I heard something.
It was, yeah, that, I didn't expect that to happen. We can figure that out later. We should, oh, I don't know. Oh my gosh.
I would really like to just sit still for a second. And he sort of slumps back against this railing, and you can see he's catching his breath. Okay.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. I hope you could.
No, it's fine. And just, and he just drops his head down, like he just looks like he's spent all of his energy. I broke the window. And he sort of like looks up at this stain. It's not a huge break because of how big this window is, but there's definitely like a Matthias-shaped hole in this.
Yeah, you did break the window, but at least we're not dead at the bottom of an alleyway.
Not that is good.
Thanks for doing that. I didn't know you could do stuff like that.
And he sort of like lolls his head to one side almost to look at you with, it looks like a sarcastic expression, but it's not. And he's like, to be fair, I don't really like people knowing it. Can you imagine what it does for my reputation, for my brother? My brother having, well, a magic user with wings is rather ironic.
Yeah, it's not like you see that every day walking down the streets of Karnan.
No. And he's still like head lolling a little bit. And he's like, it really annoys him actually. Mom loves it. And you can tell he's going a bit incoherent. He's like, Mom loves it. That's why she calls me Angel all the time. It really, really messes with my brother.
I mean, it was pretty awesome. I gotta say, Matthias, it was pretty badass. But, maybe with a little bit more like training so you can have some control over direction.
Baby. Thank you, Sphinx, who has just given 2 advantages and 2 auto successes to Charlie. Because we need to battle down doors. And Matthias is like, true, it's not something I use often. I don't like to because it hurts.
Oh. Are you in pain right now?
No, I'm just very tired and a little hungry. And he sort of looks over to the side, just at nothing.
I mean, I would offer food, but we don't really allow food in the library. So.
Oh no, I get it. That's fair enough. It's fine. I mean, he sort of looks down at just this massive drop way because it's by you're on the top level.
Here, why don't you sit on the comfy chair?
You look at it and it's just sort of got this little blue flame that's currently burning away at the top.
No. You start like smacking me.
Yeah, you can easily like pat it out, and he's like, oh, and he sort of goes to sit himself.
I go to help him.
Yeah, he sort of grabs hold of your shoulder, and you can feel the weight as he suddenly flops into this chair. Am I in trouble for breaking the window? I
don't know, but probably, we can't really worry about that right now.
And he sort of grabs hold of your upper arm, and he's like, he seems rather delirious, and he's like, I'm sorry I broke your window.
You know what? These things happen, and we make do. So,
isn't that like hundreds of years old?
Yeah. No, it's a historical piece. But that's, it's fine. Accidents happen, and
accidents.
I'm sure the headmaster will understand.
Oh, talk about not bringing attention to myself.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Does anyone have to really know that it was you necessarily? I'm just, putting that out there, or me for that matter.
I mean,
because
how are they going to prove it, right? And he sort of looks at his hands and quickly puts them behind his back, almost. I don't tell people I do this. Only in very serious situations. I've only done it like 3 times before.
I mean, we'll figure something out. But if we want to keep our names clear, we should probably get out of here. And I know that you're tired.
No,
But
I can stand. Like, and he starts to try and push himself up. It's not great. Let's see, I can stand. And he sort of stands, swaying slightly. It's all good.
You know, I don't. If we stay here, we're gonna get caught. If we leave, you might get more hurt. I'm not gonna put that. I'm not gonna say that you have to leave. But if you think you can do it, it might be worth it.
Look. And Paula, can you roll me an intellect check, please? Okay. As you're talking to Matthias, you can hear talking. And it's coming from somewhere in the library.
I motion to Matthias.
He sort of does the copy.
I'm gonna try to like look over the railing and see if I see anything.
Okay. Could you roll me another perception check, please?
I'll use an advantage.
Okay. Okay. On that, you know this library. You know how it echoes. You know every nook and cranny of this library. This is your space. And you listen to the whispers and you look over the edge of this balcony. There's no one in the library. This is coming from the walls. In fact, it seems to be coming from the bookcases.
There's someone in the walls.
He's like, what?
There's someone in the walls.
And he just stares at you long and hard like he's trying to focus.
I'm gonna like press my face up against one of the bookcases and try to like follow the sound.
Yeah, you can sort of press like up by the bookcases and move along as you hear the sound. And right by the comfy chair, by a small table at the top level, you hear voices, one or two, like a conversation. It doesn't sound aggressive. It doesn't sound particularly friendly. It sounds like acquaintances chatting. And you can hear what sounds like something mechanical, something moving. And you know these bookcases shift to reveal books further back. But that's all they do, right?
Whoever is in my wall, identify yourself.
There is no sound. You can hear the chatting continue. It's like they can't hear you.
These people are just disrespectful, Matthias.
And he's sort of slumped back down into the chair again, like head in his hands as he's sort of looking at you follow these books along this bookcase.
I'm gonna talk to the bookcase in the way that you can ask the bookcase for books.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask the bookcase if there's something, if it can show me something, whatever's behind it.
Okay. Can you roll me an intellect check, please?
Can I maybe? Okay. Is this maybe like an identifying type? No.
It can be if you are
Oh.
trying to identify something, if you would rather.
No. I'm good with my intellect roll.
Okay. As you sort of reach out to these books, you see some of the panels start to move as they just start bringing books around like they normally do. And one book comes forward. It doesn't leave the bookcase. It's almost presented to you on one of the levels. And it is a green leather-bound book. And there is like an imprint on it, like an embossing or something like that, of a kestrel.
Recognize this, and I hold the book. I hold it up to Matthias.
He looks at you. No.
It's the bird that we just saw.
What the great...
Yeah.
Tired. And he sort of looks over. He's like, what do you think is happening here?
I have no clue, Matthias. This is super weird. Apparently, listen, I'm not going to jump to any conclusions here, but that necklace that I threw before that exploded into a giant green bird.
Where did you get that?
My mom, who got it from my dad.
Okay, I'm following so far.
And, I mean, here it is again. I don't know if it's related. That would be really, really coincidental. In my favor, I guess.
I mean... and he sort of just lolls there for a little bit. And you start to see the bookcase move.
I take a step back away from it.
And they start to part. And you can see a pathway. And you hear someone coming out of the pathway. But now we're going to hop over to Tolan. And it's fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine. Tolan's fine.
And Tolan, you're at Aggie's. And Averick has he's done his panic. He's left to go back to head back for making sure the shop's okay, making sure everything is cleared down after this talk of what has been going on. And Aggie is just doing what she does best at the moment. She's fussing around the kitchen and she's making tea, almost like she's trying to avoid talking.
I think certainly before Averick goes, Tolan would just tell him, be careful, and if you see one of those watchers or whatever, just run. Don't let it get near you. Whatever you do, don't let it get near you.
I know. Just sort of...
And come right back.
I'll come right back. It's fine, honestly.
No, it wouldn't be.
Okay, it's not fine, but you know what I mean.
Be careful.
You too.
I've got Aggie to protect me.
That's true, actually. She does look pretty fierce.
Well, she seems to be full of surprises, that's for sure.
Yeah, and just sort of look. You can see he's taking in the whole shop and now wondering what else is in here. That she feels so safe and protected.
Tolan's been sort of doing the same.
And soon Averick sort of disappears. He does manage to reassure you as long as he sort of waves his phone at you before he leaves. And
He points to
to
his
doors.
chart on the desk with the ringer turned all the way up.
And Aggie sort of waits until she hears the door shut. And she has her back to you, but she's washing up. And she's probably washed the same plate like 5 or 6 times now. And she's
Tolan will go over and just take it away from her and put it in the rack.
We're in a funny old place now, aren't we?
We are.
I'm not worried. I'm worried for all of you. I know I'm okay.
I don't know I don't even know what is going on, much less what to do. The compass seems to be the only clue we have.
Well, there is more than one, and we know that.
Yes. And we know Ivan was searching for something.
Yes. And you see her pause again. Look, there's things I don't want to mention to you because I don't want you to have the information so that if they do come for you, you have nothing to tell them.
I understand that, but that means that if you disappear,
then they'll never find them.
and we'll never find you.
Sometimes people don't need to be found.
Do you think what is coming next, if we don't stop it or change it, is good for Conan and good for its people?
Come and sit down, Tolan. And she sort of does that thing where she goes over to her high stool at this high table and shuffles up onto it with the cushions. And she's like, sit down, and pats at the other side.
Tolan goes over, brings the teacups.
This world is run on magic. I think we all know that.
Yes.
And it has a funny thing of looking after itself, writing itself. I don't quite know what that is yet, but sometimes the world's secrets can't be revealed because the wrong people get them. And I don't want to disrupt the order of, well, life.
Well, that would certainly not be a good outcome.
No.
One of those watchers took me somewhere or gave me a vision around the tree. I saw all the Inakwe, I guess whoever were, or who returned back to our world through the season tree were there. I'm worried this time is different. You were a seeker. You've been out there in the world. You've seen the dry wells and the cities and ruins that surround them. Yes, some were by war, but others just withered away, it seemed.
Yes. That's not my concern. The world has a way of its righting itself. We've had droughts before. My concern is that when I was a seeker, the church were very interested. That's why they hired us. Also why I walked away from it. No one should have control over what our world does. And its secrets. They're wonderful things for a reason. Look but don't touch, I always say.
So what then?
Tolan, these compasses, they all point in different directions. And they point to something. I know what they are, but I don't know what they are. I don't know enough. Tom wouldn't let me. However, I did read some of his notes. Ones he told me to never look at and destroy. I read them. And all I can tell you at the moment is that the church cannot have these. It cannot have your compass. Because it will point you and them to these places.
I understand. As long as the compass is safe, and I don't know what it truly leads to, it doesn't matter if they have me. The compass goes on, finds a new person, rights the world.
I mean, I believe there are some people in the church that obviously know what they lead to, otherwise they wouldn't be after them.
Or suspect. As you said, Edric and Tom both disappeared. One would have to assume that the church at least gleaned something from them.
You must have done.
You can hide the whole truth from them with half-truths, but you can never completely lie. At least that's what I found.
True. You can know where this leads, but you can't know where to. Do you understand?
I think I do.
And she pauses for a moment. You can see she's really thinking. I'm going to tell you because one way or the other, I'm old. I'm either going to die or the church is going to get the information out of me. So, these, and did you bring your compass with you?
Oh yeah, he has it with him always.
Yeah. Pass it to me.
He passes it over.
This, and she sort of taps on the glass, and it immediately, just around the inner rim, starts to glow. And she holds it underneath, and you can hear a click. You're not too sure what she moves, but underneath there's a click, and you see the ring around the outside with all of the little narquay on them start to move, as if they're moving around the edge of the compass, almost like one of those old picture.
Right. Yeah.
And it lights up, a very dull light, literally only illuminating the images. And the back, the shell where the Anarque is printed on, sort of seems to fall back, split, and tuck inside the sides. And you can see what looks like you're staring into the sky. It's like you're holding part of the sky in your hand, and you can see the stars moving. Compasses work by stars. Lots of things work by stars, to be honest. You could go, but anyway. I don't know exactly what it is or where they go, but Tom said that the compasses will take him to the doors. They said it. They said it. It's happened.
The doors. The doors to where?
Oh, I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. Your guess is as good as mine. As I said, I wasn't allowed to know.
Well,
You
much
all right?
time?
Do you want a glass of water?
yes, and he gets up and a little bit shakily gets one for himself and sort of chugs it down. How much time do you think we have?
Gosh, no idea. I've been doing this my entire life. Do you know how difficult it is to keep something like that a secret almost your entire life? God, it feels good to tell someone as she sort of sits back.
I have a bit of an idea.
You
but
do?
It's nothing.
Oh, come on. You can't just say that and then say it's nothing. Let's be honest.
I'm sure it will all come to light before this is through. Just as you have some things that you need to withhold in case the church comes prodding around in your head, I have some as well.
Ah, okay, fair enough. Well, it gave me a great sigh of relief. And she sort of twists the top of the compass and you see it all close and shut up completely. The light goes out.
I feel like we're building towards something. These guardians showing up, or if that's in fact what they are, around the season tree. These shadows attacking in the night. We talked about stories. How stories are windows to the truth, windows to what the universe is trying to tell us, what the world, our world, is trying to tell us. And just like any good story, when the pace begins to quicken, is when the real challenges begin.
She sort of looks at you and smiles. I wish it'd hurry up because I'm going to be very old by the time it happens.
Yeah. Part of me says, let's hope so, but there's a part of me that wants you to see to the end, no matter what may come.
I'm sure I will. I'll see it to my end. And then I'll find Tom.
Or we will find him for you.
Oh no, I'll find him. He can't hide from me forever.
Well, that's for sure. I certainly tried for years to hide from you, and
look where that got you.
well,
You're here all the time now.
Sitting here I haven't been home in 3 weeks.
I know.
It's probably getting close to time, but every time I try, I seem back here. Again, stories tend to lead us where we need to be. We should try to come up with a plan. I think Averick is part of this. Somehow Paula, Charlie. There's too many interconnections for there not to be something greater that we need to work towards.
There's no such thing as a coincidence. Tom hated it when I said that, but I fully believe it.
I would tend to agree. Have we ever gotten a call back from Paula?
Oh gosh, I'm supposed to check that thing, aren't I? And she starts sort of rummaging around.
Mine was dead, so they said that I couldn't use it.
Well, no, hang on, let me check mine. And she starts to sort of rummage around in her little cardigan pocket. You hear a knock at the door.
I'll get it while you check on your phone.
Please do, and tell them it's far too late to be calling, and if it's someone I know, invite them in. And she sort of starts
know everyone,
holding this phone at a distance to try and read it.
Tolan goes over and opens the door.
You open the door. It is dark outside. You can see the waterways sort of giving the most of the glow.
He sort of puts on his most curmudgeonly gruff face.
And 6 watchers stand outside. Good evening.
Good evening, officers. He says that quite loudly, so hopefully it will carry. It's quite late. We're fine here. We heard of the trouble and came to stay safe.
This is the house of Agatha.
And shop, yes.
Yes. Sort of looks up. Can we speak with her, please?
She's a bit indisposed right now. It's quite late and she is quite old.
And this is quite important.
And she is quite old and it is quite late. We'll be open early in the morning. She's quite an early riser, so am I.
And they stand there.
He stands right there.
The ones behind him just have a very sort of straight face. They don't really, but this one has got a smile in his face. So what time do you open?
Well, the shop opens at 8, but we will probably be having breakfast around 7.
Oh, I wouldn't interfere in breakfast.
Well, she does need to have her prunes or else it ruins her whole day. I'm sure you understand older ladies' digestion.
And he tips his head to look at you. Tell her she is due a meeting. Please.
I'll be sure to let her know.
Thank you, Mr. Sorry, what was your name?
Oh, Falk.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Falk. And he sort of gives almost like a short look and turn to these other watchers. And then walk away. And we are going to hop over to Kamika. And you are walking down the street, Kamika, and you followed these watchers. And you have seen them, what looks to be run into a wall and disappear. And this is down a bit further by the waterways. But these watchers, these people in these uniforms, a few of them seem to head into this wall and just disappear as if it wasn't there at all. So much so that you have to give yourself a double check, a double look, to realize what you just saw. And then can you roll me a perception check, please?
Sure can, yeah. Let's do a perception.
Yes. Okay. As you sort of stop and watch them, you scan. You sort of look along the other walls down by the waterways as it gets lower and lower and darker, as it is very late evening now. And you see for a moment what almost looks like a wall shift. And Charlie, what do you look like right now as you leave the tangle?
think as she was leaving the shop, at least, I've changed from the Watcher uniform because that didn't work anymore. So I think it's more of a kind of very similar to that, like kind of workout gear sort of deal, like a runner sort of thing, who maybe just like finished work late and has this small child over her shoulder. She got kind of like, I don't know, maybe like shoulder length, like dark blonde kind of hair, and loose clothing. But aside from that, yeah.
And that's what you see. You see this person almost emerge from the wall itself. Again, very much like how they disappeared, this person seems to creep out of it almost with ease. You have been sent pictures of Tuva as she's been growing up. And, sorry, come back, Jay. But you've been sent pictures of her as she's been growing up. And that is unmistakably her in Narkway. You can sense families in Narkway. And there's someone carrying your passed out niece.
Looking shifty as hell.
Proper shifty. With her in Narkway in a cage that for some reason it doesn't seem to be able to get out of. And you can see this from a distance.
Excuse me. The girl you have there, that girl is the one I'm looking for. Spirits be praised.
I just kind of like stop and stare at you across this like empty street, I suppose. Just I'm just gonna like shuffle along, like waving him over, but because like first thought, not Watcher. Second thought, this is not someone looking for me. But yeah, I kind of like make my way over to like around another corner, but keep an eye out for you to like see if you're following.
Yep, just following at a proper island stroll.
Okay. And there's like some kind of trees and bushes and things. Like this place is fairly overgrown, and I find like a spot that has kind of more of the big, almost like palm leaves, reaching out of some alley where it's just overgrown, and I just like drop everything and just sit and let Tuva down very gently. I'm just kind of like checking on her, see if she's woken up at all. Mostly just kind of like keeping an eye, like, who is this guy, but also not danger yet. As you walk up.
Do you need help?
You know? Yeah.
Do you want me to carry Tuva?
How do you know her?
I'm her uncle.
Oh, thank God. Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to get to a friend's house. Shouldn't be too far from here. And kind of looking around, can I estimate how far Aggie's would be from here?
Oh, yeah, no, you know this
know the way,
route
but
as you know the streets. Yeah, it's probably about a 15-minute to 20-minute walk from where you are. You'd have to pass the season tree and go the other side, but yeah, it's not that far.
Okay. I'm gonna look at him and can you be sneaky?
I can try. I'm not very familiar with the city.
You don't have to be. Okay. Let me lever myself back up and just kind of like lean against this wall for a second. And pick up Brenda's little cage. And again, just look at this man. Just like this. Okay.
Maybe I should take Tuva, and I can hold her like this, which is maybe less conspicuous. Looks like she's just had a long day.
Sounds good.
And do you want me to take from the cage?
I haven't figured out a way to open this.
Oh, well, that's perhaps different.
But I know someone who might be able to. That's kind of where I'm headed. Okay, well, I know the way, at least. Okay, and I'm just gonna head towards Aggie's. On the way, I'm just holding this cage. This for two. It's a clumsy kind of thing, but it's I don't know, just making it work. It looks like so. Uncle
Kamaka.
Cool. I'm Charlie.
All right.
I'm a friend of hers. It's been a long day.
So you're being chased by the men wearing the brown.
Yeah, not originally, but now, kinda.
And this is because of something they've done to Tuva.
Yeah. But they're not exactly the kind of people that you can, like, go after. There's a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. For now, I'll just follow you, and you can... That's actually all.
Okay. That's all she'll really offer on the way, and taking like as indirect a route as possible, keeping out of sight, although the streets are very empty.
You know the streets, so you will have known all the back ways anyway, and I'm assuming Kamaka is just following with Tuva. Okay.
Yeah, his eyes are very open, but he's not doing anything or pressing any farther with this.
Yeah, you're sort of looking around and you can see like the wonders of basically a city as you weave through this sort of like spiderweb of alleyways, and soon you come out by one of the waterways, which is glowing with the underwater city beneath. And you come outside a shop with a window at the front. There's books everywhere piled up, and two cats pressed against the window.
Looking up and down the street, is there anyone on about?
You can see headed off in the opposite direction to you what looks to be a group of watchers.
Okay, and I'm going to go around the back instead.
Mm-hmm.
And lean up against the wall again and just like knock sloppily on this door.
And Tollem, for the second time within the last probably 10 minutes, you hear the door knock.
This is the front door or the back door in the garden? Did you say you went around to the back?
Yeah.
So there's a small like archway door on like a very high walled garden, and you can hear it.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. And he grabs the first thing out of like the rack going out the door, which is like probably like an old umbrella.
I was going to say there's an umbrella in there.
He walks out there holding the umbrella sort of, with the handle side up, kind of look, why I oughta. I mean, he's going there and rips open the door and just like, I told you she is indisposed. Get in here, quickly. Who are you? Get in here. It just sort of grabs Tanaka as well and just looks to both sides and closes the door. Are you all right? Are you all right? Get inside.
You can hear Aggie from the kitchen going, who is it? Like from just expecting anyone from the back door.
It's Charlie and friend.
Oh, Charlie! And you can see Aggie sort of shuffle out from the stable door kitchens and just sort of throw her little arms out, and she sort of hugs you straight away, and then looks over to Kamaka carrying this child, just like, you're new and I'm Aggie, and holds out a hand.
It's very nice to meet you, Aggie.
It is very nice to meet you too. Now, everyone inside. Come on, it's getting cooler now. Come on. And so as she walks past, as Kamaka walks past, I like your shirt. And sort of as she hurries everyone into the kitchen.
What has happened? Were you attacked by the? We heard the shadows. The people, the shadow people were out.
Pollen, it's rude not to offer drinks first.
Would you like some tea?
And she smiles, looking over at Kamaka and Charlie. Tea?
Yeah.
I'm sure there are biscuits as well. Tolan is just like through clenched teeth.
You know there are. And she starts to sort of waddle off to the kitchen.
That sounds very nice.
Fantastic. I'll make a pot now.
I just turn to Tolan and just like, okay.
Why is this Inakwe in a cage? What has happened? What is going on?
The church freaking happened.
He does look at Charlie because it's Tolan. What have you done?
Can you open this?
He looks at it. Well, give me a moment. Can I use my tinkerer to try to get this open?
Yes, you can.
I have checks underneath of both underneath skill, intellect, speed, or might for whether this is a dexterity thing or whether a might thing or whether it's more of a intellect thing. I'll use my intellect tinkerer if I can, and if I can use focused as well as I do this, which of course does sort of black me out to the other stuff that's going on. That's great. So let's do tinkerer with focus to lower it down one. And you know what? Let me use one of my advantages because good Lord. 13 and a 3, so 13.
Okay, on a 13, you have never seen a cage like this before, but you've seen locks like this before. This looks like some form of technology you have seen on other things, more to keep like magic. It's almost like a preventative magic to keep things safe, normally in like a box or a container, or for if it is actually containing magic to hold like energy.
So almost like my vaults or my footlocker.
Yeah, so you can see how to unlock this pretty easily. It takes a few times here and there purely because it's not your standard, but you can unlock this cage.
He unlocks it and I think gently takes Brenna out of it.
Oh my goodness.
It sort of flops. This thing is asleep, effectively. It looks more tired than anything, like completely passed out.
were they attacked by the shadows? Were you attacked by the shadows?
No, Charlie's very like scattered right now, but as soon as like Brenna is out and like safe and immediate task is done, she's like gotten up and actually looking out the window down the way I saw watchers go and just looking around, pick up a cat and come back.
Toland just sort of looks at her and can see the stress, and he's had to pick up a cat before when he's returned to Aggie's, and so a bit more gently, Charlie, if not the shadows, then who? What?
The church. The Watchers. They took Tuva. I got her out, but they're still...
They took her and did this?
I don't know what they did. They were just asking questions, but I didn't see.
He sort of calls over to Aggie just because he doesn't want to be doing this. Or is there, I assume there's at least some family resemblance to Kamaka?
Oh yeah, you can see it.
Is this your daughter?
No, this is my niece.
This is going to sound strange, but we need to check her to see if there's any new marks on her. We saw something similar to this happen to a young boy at the academy a week or so ago when these shadows first appeared, and we should check her arms, her legs, see if there's any marks. He's kind of a little flustered about the whole thing.
If you need to check her, check her. He puts Tuva down very gently on like the table, and Kamaka at this point is just going to start like a low, like it's a very just like soothing, humming chant in the back of his throat. And Alice, I'm going to be using encouragement, where a skill that I am good at is eased for everybody else in the room. So it gets easier for everybody else to perceive things.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
And then I guess I'll use focused for again to, I mean, what would this would just be flat intellect to search?
I'd say so, yeah.
Okay. So, and I'm going to go ahead and roll effort. Tell you what, just because it's the search, and I'm going to use one of my auto successes since I've got quite a few to whether we find something or not, that I wouldn't miss something, that we take the time to do it.
Okay. You can hear Kamaka humming. It does almost center you. It's like you can focus fully on the whole situation, and it's almost like the focus is drawn and you almost forget about other people in the room. And you do spot that sort of where her hair has fallen aside, what looks to be 3 white marks where it looks like maybe fingers have reached out and touched very briefly, like maybe grabbed her, maybe she was grabbed in a certain way. But you can see it not like around her neck, it's literally like pressing at the back of her ear. And you can see purely because where her hair has fallen aside, where she's been laid down.
Yeah. It's the same, yes? He sort of looks to Aggie and Charlie for confirmation.
Aggie nods.
So the church and the shadows are either allies or
And they made them.
creations of them.
One of them, I really do that sniffing thing. Like, they don't see, but they can, like, sense magic.
Yes, that's what Paula was talking about, that they were smelling her and that they couldn't smell her, but that they tracked Matthias that way.
One of these watchers does the same thing. He doesn't have an Inakwe. But he knew where I was that whole time. He can follow me.
But the one that I shocked back at Bruin Bindings through the door, when I looked at their face, it was almost blank. This one was conscious.
He's not one of the shadows. He talks. He is exactly like you and me, but he.
You were mentioning he doesn't have an Inakwe. I mean, there's many watchers. Hardly any watchers have Inakwe. Over all my years, I've only known of one or two. Why do you mention this as though it's strange?
Because he uses magic. Or he has some magic. Sort of magic. He could keep up with me for one thing. He had some. His hands were glowing. He can.
It wasn't a device or something he was using. It was directly from him.
If it is, then I didn't see it. The rest of them do. Did you know they have guns now?
What? They're fire. You see Tolan get very, just red-faced. Guns. Here. Don't they know? It's so angry, it chokes in his throat. Have they learned nothing from all of the ruins, all of the destruction that lies beyond? What guns begin in a city? The escalation it brings. That is their plan. They have already begun the control of magic and then are empowering themselves with firearms. All in the name, I'm sure, of keeping the peace. These attacks, word is spread like wildfire. The city needs protection. The Watchers are here to protect. Oh, and because these new things are so strange, we're going to allow guns in the city.
Is this not how the church works here in Karnan? Are you not familiar with the church having guns and making comments about magic?
There's always been a uneasy balance between the academy and the church. This is new, though. The pendulum has swung in the recent months since the seasons have changed. The church has exerted more control over magic, and these strange shadow people have been stalking the streets, for the first time that I know of, and Aggie's memory as well, we had a blackout where the trams that, I don't know if you saw them as you went through the city, fell from the sky as magic failed.
In the Summer Isles, where the church is not so well regarded, they are not considered very friendly. They often abuse native practices and are known to conflict with the way people live there. My sister, her name is Jin, she came here to this city, amongst other reasons, because her use of magic was being frowned upon by your church.
Well, I would like to say that she came to somewhere where that wouldn't be a problem, but apparently it's quickly becoming that here. Jen, you said Jen's oodles? Jen oodles?
Yes, Jin.
Huh. Looks to Aggie coincidences.
And she just like taps her forehead and points at you and continues to start bringing the tea over.
Near Tuva with, let's say I have Jemima, and I'm just holding this giant fluffy cat and just watching her breathe. Brenna brought her over kind of thing.
DM question.
Mm-hmm.
Would Tolan have been to the Summer Isles in his travels? I could see that he might not have been, as he was. I can sort of see him more on this continent, not overseas, but maybe.
You probably wouldn't have unless you specifically had something to go there for, as it's not difficult to get to, but it's not very big, so it's not necessarily housing a lot.
I think probably Tolan's ego would have had him going to the bigger places and older ruins and out into the wastes more so. But having heard this humming, which I assume reminds him somewhat of the language of the Anakwe and that sort of magic it carried, Tolan's going to take a chance, I think. And he goes over and gets the terrarium with the sphere in it. Kamaka, you are from the Summer Isles and speak as though you know of the indigenous peoples and the older ways. Have you ever seen something like this before? And he'll take the sphere out of the terrarium and hum to it a little bit so that the figures and the story will begin to ignite within it.
You, as in Kamako, would have recognized the style of it being drawn. You've seen it in the Summer Isles. You've seen, but only the figures of the animals. That's what you've seen sort of carved on some of the walls. Sometimes people just draw it. They've seen it on the walls. They've seen it on old carvings and bits of rock. Just sort of, but you've probably seen them quite frequently. Particularly the running man.
Some of these are very old pictures that you see. Some of these are definitely places on the islands, in the stone, things more permanent.
I had seen similar drawings in some of the old ruins. I'm trying to remember, has Charlie seen the sphere yet?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I was there when
when it was made, right? All the way back
when
in.
the
At
when
Eddie's
the
house.
terrarium was made for it. only really saw the finished one later, but
Right.
yeah, we've been around.
Um,
I haven't seen it do much though.
so yeah, this is probably the first. This is the first time we've seen it do much, and I think because at that point we were trying to keep it quiet, I looked at Charlie with her sort of overflow of magic. Do you hear it, Charlie? Or Kamaka? Do you hear its song as well?
Can both Charlie and Kamaka roll me an intellect check? If you have perception, use it.
I have sensing emotions.
Yeah, go for that.
Because Julie.
Charlie, you sort of take a step closer to this sphere and you can feel calm radiating off of it. And like there is almost like a sense of bliss. Something that has there's no ill will, it's as if you're going through the emotions. You can't feel happiness, but you can't feel anger. This is literally a sense of bliss. If it wasn't for the calm, you'd say you couldn't feel anything. But it seems to be radiating that. And you can hear it humming. A steady beat. And Kamaka, only you see this. As you stand in this room around all of these people as this orb starts to glow effectively with all these little symbols popping up. You see Charlie focusing on it, you can see Tolan focusing on it. Aggie seems to be making tea and slowly pouring it out at the sides. And you stand there and you hear almost like a song. And again, it's one of those moments where you have to blink a couple of times in case you miss it. And you only see it out the corner of your eye. And when you turn, it's gone. But you see almost like a distortion of color and people walking all around you. As if they're just walking in a street, going about their daily business. As if what's happening in this house right now, where Tuva lays on this table, where Charlie and Tolan are focused, and that tea's being poured. None of it interacts at all. But you see it for a brief, like a glancing moment.
Kamaka's just smiling broadly.
And as you stand there and you smile and you see all these visions of these people, they sort of, as they sort of leave the boundary of the shop, you see them sort of phase through the wall and disappear. And Tuva starts to twitch. Almost like she's waking up. You can hear her groan. And Charlie, you can see Brenna, his eyes sort of slowly like peeling open, one at a time even, because of how sleepy they are. And you see that brushel of fur sort of rise up and settle down again. And there's a minute, sort of like a jumping moment, where Tuva sits bolt upright and sort of reaches out as if she was going to grab something, as if she was caught in the moment that she was taken, and pauses and looks around all of you and the house she's in until she turns and looks at Kamaka, who she's only seen photos of. And she pauses and drops her arm. She's like,
This isn't real, is it?
Very much so.
I know you. Like, it just sort of gestures over towards Kamaka. You.
Yes.
And then she sort of like eyes go a bit wider and she suddenly realizes and she's like, oh my gosh, and she jumps up on the table and sort of jumps off the table onto you as like a hug, like a big sort of like bear hug, and she's like, like there's no real words, but she seems very, very excited right now. And you see Charlie Brenner just sort of lolls out of your arms and onto the floor and shuffles over towards where is your Inakwe right now?
Awkwardly on my shoulder, whereas I'm being tackled by this small girl now. It's like breath is coming up.
This red panda starts to climb you to try and make contact with this Inakwe. And have a look. Oh, okay. So very, very quickly, I'm sorry, we're going to take a short break, see if we can fix this Zoom problem before the end, because I don't know what it's doing today, but we're going to go to a real short break and we will be back in a second. See you in a moment.
Hey!
Best game ever.
Rip.
Okay, we're back. Okay. So Tuva has just jumped on her uncle, and she starts asking all of these questions. She's like, "Does Mum know you're here? Did you come here first? Did you bring me presents?"
Yes, no, yes.
Okay. What did you get?
You'll definitely have to see to understand. But there are other things going on which may be more important right now.
And she sort of pauses, looks around, and says, "Oh, everyone's here!" And just sort of looks around at Aggie and Tolan and Charlie.
Tolan has grabbed like 2 of the teacups that were on the table that as she went jumping across the table to like grab them so they don't hit the floor.
Sitting back with almost like a weird expression. It's like definitely smiling at this reunion, but also like a little sad and very much guilty.
I remember not much. And then she looks over at Charlie. What were you doing? The thing at the dock? I followed the Watcher like you said. How did I get here?
Your uncle and I carried you here.
Looks over at Kamaka briefly and then back to Charlie. Why?
We were in the church. I guess they saw you.
I probably didn't move quick enough. But I'll learn it. But I'm fine, look. See? All good. Was the information useful? You know, showing you them coming in and everything.
Yeah, I learned a lot tonight.
Thanks. She's just got a big smile on her face, and you can suddenly see when Kamaka and Tuva smile next to each other, you can see the family resemblance almost straight away. And she's already got like her hands like on her hips. She's still stood on the table.
Of course.
And Aggie sort of wanders over, doesn't tell her to get down, just hands the biscuit tin up so she can take one and starts moving around the group like biscuit, like sort of as she shuffles around, passing to Kamaka as he's new, and then over
Thank
to
you.
Charlie and Dolan. You're muted, Dolan.
Thank you, Aggie. He's still trying, as with every move that Tuva makes, more things shift on the table, and he's trying to like keep things on the table, and it's kind of looking at, is anyone going to tell this child, he's not saying this, but he's basically looking for someone to tell this child to get down off the table.
No one does.
Kind of hurts to look up at you.
Why? And she stands a little bit taller.
You're too tall.
Oh. And she sort of drops and sort of shuffles off of the table. That better?
Quite.
And she looks over at Tolan, who she's only seen in passing glances and doesn't actually know who he is. And sort of literally looks you up and down, very, very obvious, like she's analyzing you on her face.
Tolan actually gets very self-conscious in his many times, as children often do when their parents have said something mean or bad about someone under their breaths. It has often been children who in the streets who have said things, repeated things loudly and questioningly of who he was. And so he actually gets very uncomfortable with under the scrutiny, as many adults will whisper under their breath, but it is their children who often are the ones who have confronted him in the streets and that have made him most uncomfortable many times. And so he just sort of, he gives a terrible smile that just looks so just bad. It's just it's one of those awkward, gruff old man trying to.
And she sort of squints at you as you do it, almost like she's like,
you're taller than I thought you would be. I like your hat as well.
It's actually borrowed. And he kind of looks to Aggie and smiles.
Okay.
And she sort of just shrugs it off. And Aggie sort of puts an arm on Tuva's shoulder and is just like,
I am going to need your help
with something, and starts to usher her off into the kitchen. And leaving you, Tolan, feeling mildly awkward.
On brand.
Mm-hmm.
He finally does look. Has anyone heard from Paula?
I look at my phone, which has been on silent, and it's many missed calls.
This group needs
from
to learn
Aggie.
how to use phones.
Look, it could have blown my cover.
And Kamaka, you still have this red panda sort of half clinging to your back. You can't really feel it there, as it's gone sort of half visible, half not. But it's sort of reaching its paw out towards your Anarquay, not actually reaching it, but trying to.
It doesn't bother Kamaka at all, and his Inanakwe can take care of itself. So he's just going to let them do their thing.
I just look up at him finally and holding this cat. Just, I'm so sorry. I got her into this.
You got her out of it as well, and children will be children, as they say. You should hear some of the stories I'm not allowed to tell you about her mother.
I'm not even going to tell her.
You were thinking of telling Jin about all of this?
I mean...
That would be honest, but unwise.
I guess she doesn't even remember. And somehow it's almost worse. Now, if I tell her to be careful, I mean, she only listens so much.
She has a very adventurous spirit. I think that if you tell her to stay out of danger, she's more likely to find her way back.
Just put my head flat on this table. Directly into this cat. Apply cat two-face.
If it makes you feel better, I may have also misstepped because I've brought a rather large traditional animal into the city as a pet, and I think perhaps this may be different than what her mother would care for.
Did you bring her a pony?
Do you know what a Silvis is? It's slightly bigger than a pony.
You brought her a Silvis.
At full size, they're slightly larger than your draft horses.
Oh.
Yes.
This one is about 6 months old, about 1/4 its total size.
Tolan starts to laugh. Probably also this very awkward and kind of scary sound, especially to Charlie, who certainly has never heard him be anything.
The look back over at him is like,
Most of the very good stories about our childhood revolve around these Silvis, these Kias, we call them, and how we've both gotten in a lot of trouble as children riding the Silvis around.
You did realize she owns a noodle shop downtown, with an apartment above, and no yard.
I knew about the noodle shop. I knew about the town, and I knew about an apartment, but I had never seen one before, and now I understand better.
Tolan just kind of looks over his shoulder very awkwardly. Aggie, how would you feel about a guest in your garden?
And sort of even just before you finish that sentence, Tuva seems to suddenly be in front of you, Kamaka, holding like what looks to be like a dishcloth. She looks like Aggie's somehow distracted. It's like, oh my god, you got me a Silvis. Did you give me a Silvis?
I did. Our family has very good hearing, very good ability to pay attention, blessed by the spirits.
And there's just like the excitement of the arms sort of like pumping into the air, just like Brett, like picking up Brenna's like, we've got a Silvis, like as he sort of like running. She's like, I've never seen one before, like as he sort of starts like excitedly jumping around the kitchen. And we pan away to Paula, who is currently away from this mild chaos in her own form of chaos in the library, as this almost corridor opens. And Matthias sort of reaches out and he grabs hold of you and pulls you towards the comfy chair, sort of behind the comfy chair. He's like, is someone coming?
Yeah, but I've never seen this hallway in the library before. I didn't even know that was there.
Probably for good reason. Do you really want to deal with something else tonight?
Well, what else are we going to do? Run away and then never find out what's back there?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying maybe we don't wander over and say hello first thing. Maybe we watch.
I kind of peek my head over the chair.
Both of you, like, the chair. Make an intellect check for me, please.
Ooh.
Okay. As you move behind this chair, you both peer over, almost perfectly in this darkness. You see 3 or 4 people walk out of this bookcase, all dressed very smartly. Some of them in almost like a shirt and tweedish light jacket. You can see a woman in a like a pencil skirt, very much like ones you wear to work sometimes, and she herself is in a shirt and jacket. And this is all very smart, but it's got that thick sort of tweed-like material. It looks slightly warmer, and they all walk out. And there's only one female among them. The other 3 are male. One of them is a very sort of... He stands very tall and he's fairly broad. He's definitely got a stomach on him. He's got a very white beard that is neatly looked after. You can see the moustache is clearly waxed, as well as his hair. You also see a woman with very, very tan skin, very bright eyes. It's very, very striking. and her hair is not pulled back tight, almost like in a loose sort of plait-like bun tied up around the edges, and she has a very warm smile on her face. You see an Narquay at her side, just padding out this very small, almost like house cat, like a tabby cat, sort of by her ankles, as it's this very purpley sort of color as it glows. It almost leaves like little purple paw prints, like footsteps as it goes. And the other two men seem to be younger than the first. One of them is very young, and he seems to maybe be, whether it's like an apprentice or someone who just carries this other man's like satchel and books, because he seems to be carrying a lot. And the other man, who seems to be sort of middle-aged, he's got a very sharp jawline, and there's nothing particularly striking about him. He is good looking, but in a very classical way. There's nothing that really makes him distinguished apart. And he too has very, very smart hair and sort of waxed back. And this one, you think maybe you've seen walking the academy halls before. You're not too sure. He also has an Anarquay, and you can see it almost as he's carrying it with him. And it's sort of, but as you realize when he drops his hands to continue talking with the people, it seems to continue to walk through the air as this tortoise sort of pads up above him and above the group as it moves around. And they start to walk down the staircase, and Matthias pushes his fingers to his lips. And I need you to make one more intellect check.
I also kind of whisper to Matthias, how do they not notice the broken window?
5. On that, you feel that they have noticed the window. In fact, they seem very aware that they think there's someone else in here. They don't look in your direction at all. But one of them, the man with the tortoise, looks up. I'm gonna have to get it fixed again. And sort of looks across at the side, looks around. And he looks directly at the chair. And he smiles briefly. There's no one here. And he smiles, and you think for a moment he is directly looking at you before he turns away. Continues to walk down that set of stairs. And in that satchel, you see a glint of brass from this compass in this leather bag. And you hear the clank of them walking down these iron steps. And they walk through the library. And they disappear out the main doors.
Am I audible right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I got like the internet connection unstable message, so I was like, I'd kind of like, as soon as they close the door, I'd be like, quickly, come on, let's go, and like trying to get into that hallway.
Can you make a speed check for me, please? As you hear these doors starting to close, you can actually hear it grinding against the stone.
Yikes. Do I have anything? Why not? I'm going to use an auto success.
Okay. On an auto success, sort of you can pull yourself up, grab Matthias, and you can run towards these bookcases. And as you do, you can see it starting to close. You can see some of them shifting in directions, like this this pathway that was created is slowly being closed off, and you start running through these bookcases, this pathway, as you go down. And you can see it moving, getting closer, but also shifting in different directions. And then you get through to what looks like an open corridor. And you hear the bookcases close behind you. And everything goes dark. And that's where we leave Doors of Dunera tonight.
I love this
in
game.
my library. Oh my god.
Okay, so thank you so much for joining us, Hans. You're welcome next week if you can. Obviously,
Yeah, it was a
not
pleasure being here. Thank you for having me.
No, we absolutely loved having you. I am in love with your character so much. It's
So
ridiculous.
cool.
World's best uncle.
He's literally the uncle everyone wants.
We want to hug him in real life.
Like he's such an uncle though, like such an uncle.
Such an uncle.
I remember talking to Hans about like, look, there's this native animal to the Summer Isles. And he's like, an inappropriate present for my niece. Perfect. So
That's right. That's exactly how it went.
I loved it. So anyway, we play this on a rerun every Friday where the cast come in to chat and we get to talk about this wonderful, wonderful game and world that we love so much. Please check out all the links coming up in chat now. And head over to the Discord. Tell us what your favorite bit is, or maybe you have some theories and we want to hear them. Otherwise, a huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors in the form of Bird in the Storm and Maychan Press. Please go check out all of their links as well. And keep evoking emotions, everyone, and we will see you next week. Bye.